The father's justice. Logan, I need space. Emma said it in the kitchen, standing inside a house I bought, in a life we had built for 6 years, like it was already over. The overhead light cast a pale glow across the counter, her arms folded, waiting for a reaction. I didn't give her one. That same night, her phone lit up on the table, just long enough for me to read it. I missed you last night, Raphael. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't ask. I just stood there, letting the silence settle. My name is Logan Price. Emma and I weren't married, but we lived like we were. Shared expenses, joint savings, daily routines that felt permanent. The house was in my name, legally. Most of the money came from me, but she called it ours. And I've heard that line before. I need space. People hear it and think it means confusion, self-discovery, something temporary, but no one tells you what it often really means. It means they already found someone else to try. I didn't raise my voice, didn't argue, because something in that moment felt too clean, too prepared, and I needed to understand why. It didn't start with anything obvious, just small shifts that didn't make sense at first. Emma began placing her phone face down on the table, even when no one was around. When it buzzed, she'd glance at it, then pick it up only after I left the room. Some nights, she came home later than usual, keys dropping softly by the door, heels in her hand, saying work had been stressful. The kitchen light would still be on, the air quiet except for the hum of the fridge, and she'd move past me as if nothing had changed. When I asked simple questions, her tone would tighten. You're overthinking it. Or worse, Logan, you're starting to sound controlling. That word stuck longer than it should have. I stepped back after that. Gave her room, gave her silence. Because I thought that's what being mature looked like. No pressure, no suspicion, no arguments over things that couldn't be proven. But something felt off in the details. The timing, the distance, the way she was present but never really there. And maybe that's the part people don't talk about. The more you try to be understanding, the easier it becomes for someone to cross a line without resistance. I noticed it all, every change, every pattern, and still, I chose to trust her. So why did it feel like I was the only one still standing inside this relationship? Emma stood in the kitchen that morning, one hand resting on the counter, the other wrapped around a cup she hadn't touched. The light above us was too bright for how quiet the room felt. I think I need some time apart, she said, as she had practiced it. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask when it started. I just looked at her and said, "Have you already decided?" She hesitated for a second, then nodded. That was enough. I set my cup down, wiped my hands on a towel, and spoke calmly. "If you need space, you're not finding it here." She blinked, like she hadn't expected that answer. "Logan, seriously? You're not even going to fight for us?" I didn't move. "You didn't come here for a conversation. You came to a decision." Her eyes searched my face, waiting for something. Anger, maybe, or weakness. It didn't come. I walked past her, down the hallway, and opened the front door. Cool air slipped inside, brushing against the silence. I stepped aside and held it open. She stood there for a moment, frozen, as the script in her head had just changed. People who walk away usually believe the door will still be there when they turn back, that nothing really closes. She picked up her bag without another word, walked past me, and stepped out. She didn't look back. I didn't call her name. I just stood there until the sound of her footsteps faded, because something about how easily she left didn't feel finished. The next morning started earlier than usual. The house was quiet, sunlight cutting across the dining table where her chair was still pushed in. I opened my laptop and pulled up the joint accounts. Not rushed, not emotional, just methodical. I moved my portion out first, line by line, leaving everything clearly documented. Her share stayed exactly where it was. No games, no gray areas. Then I canceled the secondary credit card tied to my account, removed her number from the phone plan, logged into every streaming service, and signed her out. Each step was simple, almost routine, but together they closed every small door she could walk back through without thinking. After that, I changed the house system passwords, locks, cameras, even the shared devices she used. The confirmation emails stacked in my inbox like receipts. By mid-morning, I stood in the living room and looked around. The couch she picked, the shelves she insisted on, the neutral colors she liked. I started clearing it out piece by piece, turning the space into something functional. A desk by the window, cables running neatly along the wall, a chair that actually faced the light. It didn't feel like erasing her. It felt like restoring control. Because when someone walks away, you don't just lose them. You have to think about what they might come back, expecting to still have. And as I stepped back, looking at a space that no longer belonged to us, I realized I wasn't just preparing for her absence. I was preparing for the moment she might try to return. Aaron called me late Sunday night. His voice was steady, but there was a pause before he spoke. I saw Emma, rooftop bar downtown. I didn't interrupt. He continued, describing the scene in simple details. Warm lights strung above the tables, music low, people leaning in close to hear each other. Then he said it, her hand resting on a man's knee. Raphael. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the dark screen in front of me. I didn't ask for more. I didn't need it. 2 days later, Sophie sent me a message, a photo from a winery upstate. Emma stood in the middle of the frame, glass in hand, smiling as if nothing had ever happened, like 6 years could be folded away that easily. I looked at it for a long time, noticing the way she leaned slightly toward him, comfortable, familiar. There was no anger in me, just a quiet shift into something clearer. The hardest part wasn't that she left, it was that she wrapped it in something that sounded honest, something I chose to believe. I need time doesn't come from confusion. It comes after a decision has already been made. I set my phone down and sat there in the quiet, realizing I wasn't trying to figure her out anymore. I was trying to understand how long she had known. It didn't come all at once. It came in pieces that only made sense when I put them side by side. A few days after Aaron's call, I was going through old emails, clearing out things I had ignored. That's when I saw it, a forwarded message from a real estate agent, time-stamped weeks before she left. It wasn't addressed to me. It was sent from Emma's account, asking about the current market value of the house, what equity could look like after a sale. I sat there, scrolling slowly, reading each line twice. Later that night, another piece surfaced. A message thread she had left open on a shared tablet, her telling a friend, "I've lived there long enough. I should have some claim." The words didn't feel emotional. They felt calculated. Then Raphael reached out, a direct message, simple and direct, asking to talk. We met briefly, and he didn't try to defend anything. He just told me what he knew. Emma had told him we were done, that she was only staying at my place temporarily until she figured things out. He paused before adding one more line. She said you were stable, that if things didn't work out, she could always go back. That was the moment everything shifted. I wasn't the person she was choosing between. I was the option she kept in reserve. Not love, not even comfort, just security. I leaned back, letting that settle in. Some people don't leave to find something better. They leave to test what else is out there, while keeping a door unlocked behind them. And the question that stayed with me wasn't whether she would come back. It was how long she had planned to keep both paths open. She showed up just after sunset, a soft knock, then another, like she wasn't sure I would answer. When I opened the door, Emma stood there without makeup, hair pulled back, shoulders slightly hunched against the cool air. Her voice came out lower than I remembered. "Logan, can we talk?" I stepped aside and let her in. The living room light was dim, casting long shadows across the floor she used to decorate. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands clasped, eyes moving around like she didn't recognize the place anymore. "I've been thinking a lot," she started. That familiar line, steady, rehearsed. I didn't interrupt. She kept going, explaining that Raphael wasn't serious, that it didn't mean anything, that time away made her realize what she had with me. I let her speak until the words slowed on their own, until the story she built had no more space to stretch. Then I asked one question. If he hadn't walked away, Would you be standing here? She froze. No answer, just the sound of her breath catching slightly. That silence said more than anything else. I leaned forward, resting my hands on the table. I met Raphael, I said. Her eyes lifted, sharp, uncertain. I didn't raise my voice. I just laid it out. The timeline, the conversations, the version she gave him about us being over. Each detail landed heavier than the last. Whatever story she brought with her, it collapsed right there in the room. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. And as she sat there, searching for something to hold on to, I realized she hadn't come back with the truth. She came back with whatever she thought I'd believe. She shifted in her seat, something changing behind her eyes. The softness faded, replaced by something sharper. "Logan, I know I messed up," she said, voice steadier now, "but I was there too. I lived here. I contributed." The words landed differently this time. Not apology, position. I didn't react. I reached into the drawer beside the table and took out a thin folder, setting it down between us. "I know," I said quietly. Her gaze flicked to it, uncertain. I pulled my phone from my pocket and made a short call. "We're ready," I said, then ended it. A few seconds later, the front door opened. Sophie stepped in first, calm and composed, followed by a man in a dark suit carrying a leather briefcase. He introduced himself, placed the case on the table, and opened it with a soft click. Papers slid into view. Clean, organized, each page marked. Title deed, my name alone. Transaction records, every payment traced, every transfer documented. A separate statement showing her contributions still intact in the joint account, untouched. No missing money, no blurred lines. Sophie stood to the side, arms folded, watching without speaking. The room felt smaller as the details settled in. Emma's posture changed again, shoulders tightening, fingers curling slightly in her lap. She glanced from one document to the next, then back at me, as if searching for a gap that wasn't there. There was nothing to argue, nothing to reinterpret. Whatever path she thought she could walk back into had already been closed, cleanly and quietly. In that moment, it wasn't just Raphael she had lost. It wasn't just me. It was the safety net she had counted on still being there. The silence stretched again, heavier this time, because now the only question left wasn't what she wanted. It was what she could possibly say next. I walked to the hallway and brought back a small cardboard box, the one I had packed the night she left. I set it down in front of her, careful, like it mattered how it landed. "I kept your things," I said. She looked at it for a second, then up at me, eyes searching for something softer. I didn't move. The room was quiet except for the low hum of the air vent. "Logan, I know I hurt you," she whispered. I nodded once. "I forgive you," I said, steady, without raising my voice, "but I'm not opening that door again." The words didn't echo. They just stayed there between us. She held my gaze for a moment, then looked away, shoulders dropping slightly, as if something finally settled. No argument, no last attempt. She picked up the box, walked to the door, and paused with her hand on the handle. Then she stepped out. The latch clicked, clean, final. After that, there were messages, missed calls. One envelope slipped into the mailbox. I didn't open it. I didn't reply. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's silence that doesn't invite anything back in. Love needs trust, but self-respect needs boundaries. And if you've ever been someone's backup plan, say it once, clearly, "I chose myself." If this felt familiar, you know what to do. And tell me this, if you were standing where I stood that night, would you have opened the door again?